House of Representatives on Thursday passed and adopted the proclamation of President Tinubu through a voice vote with 243 members in attendance. The House also made recommendations to the proclamation. The House recommended that a national committee should be set up to mitigate and restore peace back to Rivers State. Secondly, that the National Assembly should take over activities of the State Assembly within the 6-month period. What are your thoughts on this report?
Yes.
The voice votes, the idea of the voice vote.
Well, the House of Assembly is their axiom pursuant to their powers as provided for in the Constitution. And the House of Assembly, when you talk of the National Assembly, when you talk of the National Assembly, it's a bicameral legislation. The upper and the lower house are established, both houses are established by the provision of the Constitution, Section 47. And their power, their regulation, their duties goes down to Section 89. From Section 47 to Section 89 deals with the issue of the National Assembly. And that is both the Senate and in the House of Reps. So the president, in declaring a state of emergency, will send the proclamation, the gazetted proclamation, to the National Assembly, which, if they are in section, will consider it within a period of 2 days. And if they are not in section, will consider it in a period of 10 days. So the National Assembly, in considering that, you will remember that it was a closed section of the National Assembly. It was the House sitting in camera, so that they can look at those reasons or the proclamation, or members can speak either for or against that decision, which they did. The National Assembly has the power to regulate its own procedure. Section 60 of the Constitution confers on the National Assembly to make its standing order to regulate its procedure. And people have said that the National Assembly, it is unconstitutional. It is easy to use the word unconstitutional. The Constitution is per section per section. What section of the Constitution deprives the National Assembly the power to make a voice vote in a deliberation before it? And I'll ask them, any person who can produce any section of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, or show to the public what section of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria disallows the National Assembly to make a voice vote on an issue before it. Like I said, Section 60 of the Constitution confers on them the power to make regulation to control its own procedure. They make pursuant to that, both the Senate and the House of Reps had their standing orders in the district. And not their standing order, it has the President of the Senate, and it also had the Speaker of the House of the Representatives. And by that standing order, it confers on either the President or the Speaker of the House of Reps to decide on issues of dividing the House, to take a decision. It is either any of the mode that is prescribed by its rule, and one of which is a voice vote. So the persons who are saying that it is as if you are questioning the provision of the Section 60 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that confers on the National Assembly the power to make regulation, to control or direct its procedure. So, and the question, the issue is that, declaration.
Is there supposed to be a quota that is meant to, agree before this?
Two-third majority. Now, right. we must know.
And on a video clip during that event, somebody was, a member raised his hand and said, let's see the names before the vote is passed. And he was actually made to sit down. Right.
Yes.
What are your thoughts in that regard?
Now we are saying that the Section 54 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria prescribes a quota, prescribes the membership strength of either the Senate or the House of Assembly. For the Senate, it is 109 members, drawn from three senators from each state on the state of equality, and one from the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, making it a total of 109 members.
Okay.
While in the House of Reps, they have a membership of 360. And by section 54, 1/3 of that membership, which will come to the Senate, 36 members, and to the House of Representatives, 120 members.
Okay.
When that quorum is maintained, then the National Assembly can carry out its business, irrespective of its membership strength. And in this case, where the Constitution requires, like we said, that Section 305, subsection 2, prescribe that the National Assembly will approve the proclamation made by the president by a 2/3 majority in this thing.
Okay.
And we have also established that the National Assembly has the power to regulate its procedure in voting. It is a constitutional provision, and nobody can challenge that.
Right.
Yes.
Also, for the sake of viewers that are not sure what a voice vote is, can you explain how a voice vote is done for us?
Well, we saw it. A voice vote is the presiding officer, either the president or the speaker of the House of Assembly, allows members to make their contributions. And having had the views of majority of the members, those in support, and having after the argument, then they will read what is this thing with they know. Those in support of this say A, they say. Those in support say nay, and they are order have conferred on the president to decide on that, to decide on that voting
For such
system.
a critical matter as an emergency rule,
Yes.
as it were, do you think the idea of using say A or say nay is better tenet as regards how crucial this stance is on the state of emergency?
If we say that, we will be going back. You will be going back to question the provision and the drafters of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You will also be questioning the powers of the National Assembly to make regulation to regulate its own procedure. Before you could question that, you will be asking that those who are the tenants of this opposition should go back to ask for an amendment of the provision of the Constitution. The law is what it is. It is the extant law. The Constitution has given them the power to make such provisions.
Right.
Yes. So it is not matter of morality. Morality has no place in this aspect of the law. It is what the extant law has provided.
Right.
The National Assembly has been carrying out all its legislative businesses, and either in a voice vote or any procedure, the presiding officer, the president or the speaker, as the case may be, will direct.
All right. So what are your thoughts as regards this precedent of the precedent of this action of state of emergency rule, right? The way it's happened in Rivers State.
Yes.
Do you think that, what is the stance on democracy when you look at this? Like, what is the future of democracy as regards, given the way, politics in Nigeria run, where we have party system, several party systems and several clashes within the party systems? Do you think the precedent of this action can make another president or the sitting president say, I don't really like the face of so-so-so governor, I'm not at peace with so-so-so governor, so-so-so governor is not in my party, and maybe we should, call an emergency rule due to certain crisis in that state, and the governor becomes suspended? What do you think the precedent of democracy is going to be, given this emergency rule and an installation of a sole administrator in Rivers State?
Yes. And let us also say that emergency rule is not peculiar to Nigeria. An emergency rule is a universal phenomenon. It has been applied, it has been seen in several countries, even in the United States of America. Recently...
Was a sole administrator administered in those places?
We are talking of emergency rule. Emergency rule...
I started from the emergency rule,
yes,
but I'm hinging more to the fate of democracy. I'm not even... the emergency rule is in the Constitution.
Yes.
Right. I'm not hinged on the emergency rule. I'm hinged on the suspension of the governor. What is the fate of democracy if the president decides to suspend another governor, or another president takes precedence with this that has happened now and suspends a governor based on the way our party system is structured?
I will answer this question by the former president Olusegun Obasanjo suspended Plateau State Governor on the 18th of May 2004, Joshua Dariye, and he was out of office for close to 2 years.
Okay.
Did democracy die in Plateau State or in Nigeria as a result of that suspension? The answer is no. The suspension was to deal with a peculiar circumstance. The President Olusegun Obasanjo suspended the governor of Ekiti State, Ayo Fayose, on the 14th of May. 14th of no, that was no, not 14th of May. He was suspended on the 31st of December 2011. Did democracy die in Ekiti State or in Nigeria as a result of that suspension? The answer is no. Suspensions are meant to deal with particular situation. I have said, and we have established, that a state of emergency is to suspend a part of the Constitution. Having suspended those parts of the Constitution that establishes those offices, it becomes imminent that those offices, the occupiers of those offices, must be out of office for the given time to deal with the situation. The situation in Rivers State, we know, right from October of 2023 till date, there has been a lot of political infighting in Rivers State. To my own word, I will use that there has been a political dogfight in Rivers State, and critical infrastructures of the state had also been demolished as a result of the distance. We know that the Hallowed Chamber of the House of Assemblies was demolished as a result. First, a part set on fire, then consequently demolished as a result of these issues. We know that there had been two parallel House of Assemblies sitting in a state which is a negation of Section 90 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We know that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as it relates from Section 90 to Section 119 of the Constitution, were turned upside down in Rivers State. We know that all those things happened. And given that, the matters proceeded to from the Federal High Court to the Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court gets its final verdict and said that as it relates to Rivers State, there is no governance. That the governor has collapsed the other structure, the other institution of governance, that is the House of Assembly, and to now see it as a despot. It is not my word. It is the word of the Supreme Court, of the Reverend Justices of the Supreme Court.
All right.
So these issues having happened, let us also have at the back of our minds that at a time that, from what we read, that the governor approached the governor of Rivers State approached the president for a mediation in this matter that was happening between the governor and the House of Assembly. And there was actually a mediation by the president, which had an 8-point resolution. And when it came to a point that when it was made public and people started maybe making comments about it, there were comments rife on social media and in the public space that the governor did not sign the 8-point resolution, that the signature of the governor was harvested from the attendance list and placed on the 8-point resolution. And when the governor came back here, it took the governor quite some time, at least I know, for a period of 2 weeks before the Commissioner for Information, the Honorable Joe Johnson, went public to say that the governor actually signed. So within this period of 2 weeks, what was rife in the minds of persons is that the governor did not sign, and this thing. And the matter went on up to a point that some persons said that those resolutions are not implementable. But I must give it to the governor then that he said at the time, using his word, that it's not a life sentence, that the resolution will be implemented. There were back and forth, recall the commissioners. The commissioners at a point were recalled, subsequently relieved of the distance. So the infighting continued.
How do you mean relieved?
Eh?
Were they relieved or they resigned?
Yes, they resigned. They tendered letters.
They tendered letters of resignation. They were not relieved.
Yes, they tendered letters of resignation. But the commissioner said, taking a typical example of the office of the Attorney General of the state, that the Attorney General of a state was seconded to another ministry other than the Ministry of the Ministry of Justice. I don't know what that is intended to achieve. So, given those circumstances, some of them they resigned. Some of them resigned. This thing. So you see that.
But some people stayed and some people resigned.
I used the word some resigned. If
right.
you haven't used the word some resigned, it doesn't mean that all of them resigned.
Right.
Some of them stayed on, some resigned,
right.
and the problem also continued. There was a problem between the House of Assembly and the governor, the office of the House of Assembly, which led to the issues of persons declaring themselves the Speaker of the House. And there were parallel houses of assembly, which is a negation of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The sitting of two houses of assembly carrying out legislative functions and duties on behalf of a state is a rape on the provision of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, particularly Section 90 to Section 119, because there can never be two houses of assembly. There can only be one house of assembly. But two houses of assembly were carrying out a legislative function. A house of assembly of one made of about 3 persons, and the other one of about 27 persons. So those are the issues. You see that this fight has continued unabated. It had the political gladiators in this have held on to their trenches. They have held on to their battle line. No one wants to give in to the other. But I will go back to the issue of the resolution, of the 8-point resolution. Now, at a point, it came to the fore that the governor said that the president's intervention in the resolution of that 8 point is unconstitutional and it is not implementable. And the question I asked, because I have always commented on public issues and this thing, and I said, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the office of the President is established by section. The office of the President is established by Section 130 of the Constitution to provide good governance for the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Okay.
And if the President, something had come to his knowledge and his office, and the President intervened to say, all of you make peace. At least, if I remember some of the 8-point resolution, first on it is everything, because impeachment was rife, everything about impeachment stopped. Withdraw your cases from the court. Go back to the House of Assembly as led by Martin Samehule, represent the budget. Call back your commissioners and let there be.
But the governor did drop a press release after the state of emergency rule, where he said he did call back the commissioners.
Yes, you see, you will have to read between the lines to see the genuineness of the peace move in the state, either on the side of the governor or on the side of the House of Assembly. And you will come to a conclusion that there has not been any peace, that both parties had held on to their battle line and have not in any way considered to have an amicable peace. That we must have at the back of our mind.
Thank you so much for your. We need. You're going to have your say. I will have to read the next report.
And I wanted to conclude on this issue on the 8-point resolution. The question I have asked is, if you say that the president has no power, no constitutional role to play in a mediation of the House of Assembly and the
Did he say the president has no constitutional role,
yes,
or he said the requirements of that the what's it called, the peace quorum or peace forum that the president had mediated between them, many of those things were not constitutional for him to obey?
Whether it was, I know from the government circles, I wouldn't say the governor, I'm not saying so. From the government circle, it was said that the president has no constitutional role to play in that matter.
The president has no conflict because no provision of the Constitution confers such power on the president to mediate in the matter. But the question I ask people who say, assuming this problem continues unabated, assuming this problem gets to a point of where the president will have to exercise his power as conferred on him by Section 305 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, what would then happen? Will the president at that point have a constitutional role to play? They say a stitch in time saves 9. But if those resolutions had been, maybe I also think that if you had made a resolution with a body and it is not practically possible for you to continue or conclude with it, I think it would have been better to go back to that body to say, for this reason and this reason, I cannot continue or conclude with this resolution, with the 8-point resolution.
Right.